Admiral Kwan stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station. The large screens around him showed nothing but empty space, but he knew that would change very soon. His hands shook as he read the message that had arrived just minutes ago. The message came from the Galactic Council. It was short and clear. Earth had 72 hours to surrender. All human technology must be given to the Council. All human weapons must be destroyed. All humans must accept the Council rule. If Earth refused, the Council would destroy every living thing on the planet. Kwan had been waiting for this day for 20 years. Ever since he joined the Earth Defense Force, he knew this moment would come. The Council had been watching Earth for 50 years. They had been patient, but now their patience was over. He pressed a button on his console. Captain Hannah, report to the command center immediately. Captain Hannah arrived within minutes. She was young but experienced. She had fought in 3 different space battles against pirates and smugglers. Her face was serious when she saw the message on Kwan's screen. "How long do we have?" she asked. 72 hours, Kwan replied. "Maybe less. Council ships are already moving toward our solar system." Hannah looked at the tactical display. Red dots were appearing at the edge of the screen. Each dot represented a Council warship. There were hundreds of them. Soon there would be thousands. "What are our orders, Admiral?" Hannah asked. Todd Kwan turned to face her. "Begin evacuation of all major cities. Move people to the underground shelters. Contact all defense stations and put them on high alert. Get me Engineer Do-Yan." Hannah saluted and left the command center. Kwan watched her go and felt proud. She would do her job well. All of his officers would. They were ready for this fight. Engineer Do-Yan arrived 20 minutes later. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes were sharp and intelligent. He had been working on Earth's secret defense project for 15 years. "Admiral," Do-Yan said, "I saw the Council message. Are we activating the hidden systems?" "Yes," Kwan said. "How long do you need?" Do-Yan thought for a moment. 12 hours to bring everything online. It's 24 hours to reach full power." "But Admiral, we have never tested these systems in real combat." "Then we will learn quickly," Kwan replied. "The Council thinks we are weak. They think we are just another primitive species they can crush. They are wrong." On the planet below, Captain Hannah was coordinating the largest evacuation in human history. Every major city on Earth was emptying. Millions of people were moving to underground shelters that had been built in secret over the past 20 years. The evacuation was not random. Every family knew exactly where to go. Every person had practiced this drill dozens of times. Children, as young as 5 years old, knew the evacuation routes by heart in New York. Families packed only essential items and walked calmly to the nearest shelter entrance. In Tokyo, bullet trains carried thousands of people to mountain facilities. In London, the old subway tunnels had been converted into temporary homes. The shelters were not just holes in the ground. They had air filtration systems, food storage, medical facilities, and communication networks. Some could hold 10,000 people. Others could hold 100,000. But the shelters were not meant to hide from the Council forever. They were meant to keep humanity alive while Earth fought back. High above the planet, Council ships continued to arrive. Their formation was perfect. Their weapons were charged. Their commanders were confident. Admiral Vex led the Council fleet. He was from a species that looked like tall, thin lizards. His people had served the Council for 1,000 years. He had destroyed 17 different worlds. Earth would be number 18. "Primitive humans," Vex said to his officers. "They have no real weapons, no real defenses. This will be over quickly." His tactical officer, a creature with 4 arms and blue skin, nodded. "Our scouts report that they are moving their population underground. They are scared. Good, Vex replied. Fear makes surrender easier. Have you detected any hidden weapons or defenses? None, Admiral. Their technology is basic, okay? Their ships are slow. Their weapons are weak. This species should have been eliminated 50 years ago. Vex agreed. The Council had made a mistake by waiting so long, but that mistake would be corrected soon. On Earth's orbital station, Dr. Minji was working frantically in the intelligence center. She had been studying Council communications for months. What she had discovered made her sick to her stomach. The Council had destroyed 43 different species in the past 1,000 years. Each time, they followed the same pattern. First, they would make contact and offer friendship. Then, they would demand submission. Finally, they would destroy any species that refused to obey. Earth was not their first target. It would not be their last. But Dr. Minji had also discovered something else. The Council was afraid of something, okay? Their messages showed signs of fear and urgency. They were rushing this attack. That meant they were worried about something. She ran to Admiral Kwan's command center with her findings. Admiral, the Council is scared, she said breathlessly. Their communications show panic. They are rushing this attack because they are afraid of something. Kwan looked at her data. What are they afraid of? Us, Dr. Minji said. They are afraid of humans. Our technology has been advancing too quickly. We have been developing weapons and defenses that they do not understand. They want to destroy us before we become too powerful. Kwan smiled for the first time that day. Then we are stronger than they know. Engineer Doyan's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, the hidden systems are coming online. We'll be ready in 18 hours. Good, Kwan replied. Dr. Mingi, send a message to all Council ships. Tell them that Earth refuses their ultimatum. Tell them that humanity will not surrender. Dr. Minji typed the message quickly. It was short and clear, just like the Council's ultimatum had been. The message was sent across space to the Council fleet. Admiral Vex read it and laughed. Foolish. Humans, he said, begin the attack in 60 hours. We will show them what happens to species that defy the Council. But deep in the hidden facilities of Earth, humans were preparing for the fight of their lives. They had been planning for this day for decades. They had weapons the Council had never seen. They had strategies the Council could not understand. The Council thought they were hunting weak prey. Soon they would learn that they had awakened something far more dangerous than they could imagine. 50 years earlier, Earth had been a different place. Contact Officer Jin was only 25 years old when he received the assignment that would change his life forever. He was chosen to be part of humanity's first contact team with an alien species. The world celebrated when the Galactic Council ships arrived in Earth's orbit. Finally, humans were not alone in the universe. The Council representatives spoke of peace, trade, and joining a great galactic community. But Jin saw something different during those first meetings. He noticed how the Council aliens looked at humans. It was not the look of equals meeting equals. It was the look of predators studying their prey. Now, 50 years later, Jin was an old man with white hair and deep wrinkles. He sat in Admiral Kwan's command center, sharing the truth that had been hidden from the world for half a century. The Council never came in peace, Jin said quietly. They came to harvest our planet and enslave our people. The first thing they asked about was not our culture or our science. They asked about our population numbers and our military strength. Admiral Kwan listened carefully. He had heard parts of this story before, but never the complete truth. Changed their minds? Kwan asked. Jen smiled sadly. We surprised them. During their first visit, they expected to find primitive humans with basic technology. Instead, they found nuclear weapons, space stations, and computer systems that should not have existed according to their calculations. Commander Bora entered the room during Jen's explanation. She was the head of Earth's intelligence division and had been studying alien technology for 30 years. The council had a formula, Bora explained. They believed that all species develop technology at the same rate. They had charts and graphs that showed exactly when a species should discover fire, invent the wheel, or build spaceships. She activated a holographic display that showed the council's development charts. According to their formula, humans should have taken 50,000 years to reach our current level of technology. Instead, we did it in 5,000 years. This scared them badly. Dr. Mingy joined the conversation from her workstation. I have been studying council records for months. Every species they conquered followed their predicted development pattern exactly. We are the first species to break their formula. Jin nodded. And during that first meeting 50 years ago, the council leader pulled me aside. He asked me directly how humans had developed so quickly. I told him the truth. I said that humans never stop trying to improve. We never accept that something cannot be done. The council leader had not understood this answer. His species had reached a comfortable level of technology and stopped innovating thousands of years ago. They could not imagine a species that constantly pushed forward. What happened next? Admiral Kwan asked. They made us an offer, Jin continued. They said they would allow Earth to remain independent if we agreed to share our technology development methods with them. They wanted to study us like laboratory animals. Commander Bora pulled up more classified files. Right. The treaty we signed 50 years ago was not about friendship. It was about buying time. The council wanted to learn our secrets before they destroyed. U.S. engineer Wu entered the command center at that moment. He was Do-Yan's assistant and had been working on the secret defense projects since he was a young graduate student. Admiral Wu said, "The hidden systems are charging faster than expected. We will be ready 12 hours ahead of schedule." "Yeah?" Quan replied. "Tell me about these systems. How do they work?" Wu looked at Jin and Commander Bora. They nodded, giving him permission to share classified information. The defense systems are based on human innovation principles, Wu explained. While the council builds bigger versions of the same weapons they have used for thousands of years, we built completely different weapons. He activated another holographic display that showed Earth's hidden defense network. Our weapons do not follow council technology patterns. They use principles of physics that the council never bothered to explore. Their scientists stopped researching new ideas centuries ago. Dr. Mingy added more information. Council species develop technology until they become comfortable. Then they stop. Humans are different. We develop technology until we die. When we have enough, we want more. This was humanity's greatest advantage. While other species had accepted the council's dominance and stopped innovating, humans had continued to develop new technologies in secret. Jin remembered the council leader's final words during that first meeting 50 years ago. He told me that humans were dangerous because we never know when to stop. He said that most species reach a point where they are satisfied with their achievements. Humans never reached that point. The council had been afraid of this quality from the beginning. They had conquered 43 other species easily because those species had stopped developing new weapons and defenses. Humans had never stopped developing. Commander Bora showed them intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Every species the council conquered had the same pattern. They reached advanced technology, became comfortable, and stopped innovating. When the council attacked, these species had no new weapons to defend themselves. But humans are different, Engineer Wu said proudly. In the 50 years since first contact, we have developed weapons and defenses that are completely new. The council has never seen anything like them. Jin stood up slowly, his old joints creaking. There is something else you need to know. During our treaty negotiations, I learned that the council is not as strong as they pretend to be. This got everyone's attention. Their empire is built on fear and superior numbers, Jin continued. They have never faced a species that could match their technology. They have never fought against innovative weapons. All of their military tactics are based on overwhelming force against weaker opponents. Admiral Kwan felt hope growing in his chest, so they have never faced a real fight. Exactly, Jen said. Every battle they have won was against species, using old technology and predictable tactics. They have no experience fighting against human-style innovation and adaptation. Dr. Minji pulled up more council communications. Their messages show increasing panic as our deadline approaches. They are worried about something they cannot predict or control. Engineer Wu smiled. They should be worried. In 12 hours, they will see what happens when humans fight back. The truth was finally clear. The council had come to Earth expecting to find another weak species to conquer. Instead, they had found humanity's greatest strength, the refusal to stop growing and improving. Now, 50 years later, they were about to learn that some prey fights back. The 72-hour deadline had passed. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth through the main view screen. The small blue planet looked peaceful and defenseless. Soon, it would be nothing but burning rock and metal. Let's begin. The attack, Vex commanded. 10,000 council warships moved toward Earth in perfect formation. Each ship was massive, carrying enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The fleet looked like a metal wall moving through space on Earth's orbital defense station. Admiral Kwan watched the enemy fleet approach. His hands were steady now. The waiting was over. All stations, this is Admiral Kwan, he announced over the communication system. The council fleet is beginning their attack. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Captain Tay was already in position aboard the Earth defense ship, Phoenix. His ship was much smaller than the council vessels, but it had been built using human engineering principles. It was fast, maneuverable, and packed with weapons the council had never seen before. Phoenix Squadron, form up on my position, Tay ordered. Remember your training. We're not trying to match their firepower. We are trying to outsmart them. The Phoenix led a group of 20 human ships toward the approaching council fleet. To the council commanders, the human ships looked like tiny insects attacking a giant beast. Admiral Vex laughed when he saw the human ships approaching. Look at them. So few ships against our mighty fleet. This will be over in minutes. But Captain Tay had no intention of fighting a traditional space battle. His human military doctrine was based on speed, surprise, and unconventional tactics. Phoenix Squadron, execute Scatter Pattern Alpha, Tay commanded. The human ships suddenly broke formation and spread out in seemingly random directions. The council fleet prepared to fire, but their targeting systems could not lock onto the fast-moving human vessels. Pilot Yoon was flying the fastest ship in the squadron. Her fighter was so small that it barely showed up on council sensors. She flew directly toward the largest council ship, weaving between laser blasts like a dancer avoiding raindrops. This is Yoon to Phoenix, she reported. It's beginning attack. Run on the flagship. The council gunners tried to track her small ship, but she was too fast and too unpredictable. She flew in spirals, loops, and sudden direction changes that made no sense to the council tactical computers. When she reached the flagship, she did something that shocked the council officers. Instead of firing at the ship's weapons or engines, she fired at the communication arrays. It's direct hit on enemy communications, Yoon reported. They cannot coordinate with their other ships. This was human tactical thinking. Instead of trying to destroy the massive ship, stable its ability to command the fleet. Captain Tay smiled as he watched Yoon's attack succeed. All squadron members target enemy communication systems, make them deaf and blind. The human ships swarmed around the council fleet like angry bees. They were too small and fast to hit, but their weapons were precise and effective. Within minutes, dozens of council ships had lost their ability to communicate with each other. Admiral Vex watched in confusion as his perfect formation began to fall apart. What are they doing? Why are they not attacking our weapons? His tactical officer was equally confused. Sir, they are targeting non-essential systems, communications, sensors, navigation computers. It makes no strategic sense, but it made perfect sense to humans. A ship with no communications could not coordinate with the fleet. A ship with damaged sensors could not see targets clearly. A ship with broken navigation could not maintain formation. The Council fleet began to drift apart, quote, as individual ships lost contact with their commanders. Some ships fired at targets they could not see clearly. Others collided with friendly vessels because their navigation systems were damaged. On Earth's surface, Tian was monitoring the battle from a hidden command center deep underground. The time had come to reveal humanity's biggest secret. Admiral Quan, Dr. Heian said over the communication system. The Council fleet is in position. Request permission to activate the lunar defense grid. Quan had been waiting for this moment. Permission granted. Show them what we have been building. High above Earth, the moon had looked the same for millions of years. But for the past 20 years, humans had been secretly converting it into the largest weapons platform in the solar system. The moon's surface suddenly opened in dozens of places. Massive weapons emerged from hidden underground facilities. Each weapon was larger than a Council warship and packed with enough power to destroy an entire fleet. Admiral Vex stared in horror as the moon transformed before his eyes. Impossible. Our scouts detected no weapons on the lunar surface, because they were not on the surface, Dr. Heian said over an open communication channel. They were inside it. Tade, the lunar weapons, fired simultaneously. Beams of energy crossed space at the speed of light, striking Council ships with devastating accuracy. Each shot was perfectly aimed, targeting the largest and most dangerous vessels first. The Council fleet, already confused and scattered by the human fighters, found themselves under attack from weapons they could not have imagined. The moon itself was firing at them. All ships, retreat to safe distance, Admiral Vex ordered desperately. Reform the fleet beyond the lunar weapons range. But the human fighters did not let them retreat peacefully. Captain Tay led his squadron in pursuit of the fleeing Council. Ships continuing to target their communication and navigation systems. Pilot Yoon flew her fighter into an asteroid field near Mars. The Council ships that followed her became trapped among the floating rocks, unable to maneuver their massive vessels safely. Council ships. This is Pilot Yoon. She broadcast. Welcome to human space. We hope you enjoy your stay. She fired at the asteroids around the trapped ships, causing rock slides that damaged their hulls and blocked their escape routes. On the Council flagship, Admiral Vex finally understood what was happening. The humans were not trying to destroy his fleet quickly. They were trying to trap it, disable it, and capture it. Send a message to the home fleet, Vex ordered. Tell them we need reinforcements immediately. These humans are not what we expected. This communication officer looked up from his damaged console. Sir, our long-range communications are down. The human fighters destroyed our main array. Admiral Vex felt fear for the first time in his long military career. His fleet was trapped, scattered, and unable to call for help. The humans had turned his overwhelming advantage into a deadly trap. On Earth, Admiral Quan watched the battle with satisfaction. The first phase of their defense plan had worked perfectly. The Council fleet was neutralized, and humanity had shown only a small portion of their true capabilities. All units, maintain positions, Quan ordered. Let them think about what they have seen. Soon they will realize they have made a terrible mistake. Commander Su sat in the communication center of Earth's orbital station. Around him, dozens of technicians worked at their stations, preparing for the most important broadcast in human history. They were about to tell the entire galaxy the truth about the Galactic Council. Are all channels ready? Su asked. Yes, Commander, replied his lead technician. We are connected to communication networks across 47 different star systems. Every species in the galaxy will hear this message. Su took a deep breath. For 50 years, humanity had been gathering evidence of the Council's crimes. Now it was time to share that evidence with the galaxy. Begin transmission, Su ordered. Across the galaxy, billions of beings heard the message that would change everything. The transmission began with captured Council communications, recordings that proved their true intentions. The first recording was Admiral Vex, speaking to his officers before the attack on Earth. These primitive humans will be easy to destroy. We have eliminated 43 species before them. Earth will be number 44. The second recording was even more damaging. It was a council leader discussing their long-term plans. Once we finish with the humans, we will move to the Kepler system. The blue-skinned people there have resources we need. They will surrender or die like all the others. Commander Su's voice followed the recordings. People of the galaxy, you have just heard the truth about your so-called protectors. The Galactic Council is not keeping peace. They are spreading death and slavery across the stars. On the planet Saurian, a species of tall, peaceful beings heard the transmission with growing horror. They had been under Council rule for 300 years. They had been told that the Council protected them from dangerous enemies. Elder Kiros, the leader of the Zorian people, called an emergency meeting. Is this true? We've been living under the rule of murderers? Advisors had no answer. They had always believed the Council's promises of protection and peace. On the water world of Aquas, the fish-like mare people gathered in their underwater cities to listen to the human transmission. They had been forced to give the Council half of their ocean's resources for 200 years. Commander Naya of the Mare spoke to her people. The humans are telling us that we do not have to live as slaves. They are showing us that the Council can be defeated. Back on Earth, Scientist Era was coordinating with rebel groups across the galaxy. For 20 years, she had been secretly making contact with species that were unhappy under Council rule. Now all of that careful work was paying off. Commander Su, Era reported, we are receiving confirmation signals from 31 different star systems. The rebellion is beginning. The human transmission continued. Commander Su showed detailed evidence of Council atrocities. He displayed records of destroyed planets, enslaved populations, and stolen resources. The evidence was overwhelming and impossible to deny. The Council claims they bring order to the galaxy, Su said. But look at these images. This is what their order really looks like. The images showed burned worlds, empty cities, and the remains of civilizations that had dared to resist Council rule. Every species in the galaxy recognized the pattern. The Council would arrive, demand submission, and destroy anyone who refused. On the mining world of Rakhem, stone-skinned lithoids had been forced to dig precious metals for the Council for 500 years. When they heard the human transmission, they looked at each other with new understanding. Foreman Granite smashed his pickaxe against the mine wall. No more, he declared. We dig for ourselves now. Within hours, lithoid workers across their planet had stopped mining. The Council's supply of rare metals was cut off completely. Meanwhile, the battle around Earth was changing. Admiral Vex had managed to regroup some of his scattered fleet, but he was receiving disturbing reports from across the galaxy. Admiral, his communication officer reported, we are losing contact with Council bases in the Outer Rim. Several species have stopped sending tribute shipments. Vex stared at the tactical display, showing his damaged fleet. Half of his ships were still trapped in asteroid fields or disabled by the lunar weapons. The other half were being harassed by fast human fighters that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Another officer reported, we are detecting unauthorized ships leaving several Council worlds. It appears that some species are sending their own fleets to join the humans. This was Admiral Vex's worst nightmare. The Council's power had always been based on keeping the galaxy's species separated and afraid. If they united against the Council, the balance of power would shift completely. Captain Bajol was leading Earth's diplomatic fleet to meet with the incoming alien ships. Her mission was to coordinate the growing rebellion and turn it into an organized resistance movement. The first ships to arrive came from the Epsilon system. The Epsilon people looked like tall, thin plants with silver leaves. They had been forced to give the Council most of their food production for 3 centuries. Captain Root Kayet, the leader of the Epsilon fleet, spoke to Captain Bujol over the communication channel. Humans of Earth, we have heard your message. People are ready to fight alongside you. We bring ships and weapons. More fleets arrived throughout the day. The crystalline people brought ships that could become invisible. The fire people brought weapons that could melt through any armor. The wind people brought fighters that were faster than anything the Council had ever seen. Each species brought their own unique advantages to the growing alliance. The Council had kept them separated for so long that they had never been able to combine their different technologies and abilities. Scientist Ara was amazed by what she was seeing. Commander Sue, we now have over 300 allied ships from 17 different species, and more are arriving every hour. On the Council flagship, Admiral Vex was facing the collapse of everything he had believed in. His empire was falling apart, and it was all because of one small blue planet. How is this possible? He asked his officers. We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. How can everything change so quickly? His tactical officer provided the answer. Sir, it appears that the humans have been planning this for decades. They have been secretly contacting other species and building alliances. They turned our own communication networks against us. Vex realized a terrible truth. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their military tactics. It was their ability to unite others against a common enemy. They had done something the Council thought was impossible. They had given the galaxy hope. The revolution was spreading faster than anyone had imagined. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were remembering what freedom felt like. The Council's empire was crumbling, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Commander Sue prepared for the final phase of his transmission. Soon he would deliver humanity's ultimatum to the Council. The hunters were about to become the hunted. 3 days had passed since the first battle. The space around Earth was filled with ships from dozens of different worlds. What had started as humanity's fight for survival had become the galaxy's fight for freedom. Admiral Quan stood before the main communication console, preparing to send the most important message in galactic history. Behind him, representatives from 43 different species waited to witness this moment. The Council's empire was collapsing faster than anyone had imagined. Rebellion had spread to every corner of the galaxy. Council bases were being abandoned. Council ships were surrendering or fleeing to unknown space. Admiral Vex sat alone on his damaged flagship. Most of his fleet was destroyed or captured. The few ships he had left were hiding behind a distant moon, afraid to fight and unable to escape. Admiral Quan, to all Council forces, the transmission began. This is humanity's final message to the Galactic Council. You came to our world expecting easy conquest. You found something very different. On worlds across the galaxy, beings who had lived in fear for centuries gathered to hear these words. For the first time in their lives, they felt hope. You made a simple mistake, Quan continued. You believed that strength comes from weapons and fear. You never understood that real strength comes from working together and never giving up. Captain Hannah stood beside Admiral Quan, representing all the humans who had fought in this battle. She spoke next. 50 years ago, you came to Earth and offered us a choice, submit or die. We chose a third option. We chose to fight back, but we did not fight alone. She gestured to the alien representatives behind her. Alongside every species you had oppressed. We fought for every world you had destroyed. We fought for every life you had taken. Engineer Doyen stepped forward to explain humanity's greatest achievement. Not their weapons or their technology, but their ability to share knowledge freely. While you hoarded technology and kept species separated, we shared everything we learned. We gave our weapons designs to our allies. We taught them our tactics. We showed them that cooperation is stronger than domination. This was the Council's fundamental mistake. They had built their empire on keeping species isolated and afraid. Humans had built their alliance on bringing species together and sharing everything. Dr. Mingy presented the evidence of the Council's crimes to the entire galaxy. But more importantly, she announced the formation of something new. Today marks the end of the Galactic Council's empire of fear. In its place, we establish the Free Species Alliance. Every world will have an equal voice. Every species will be respected. No one will live in slavery again. On the water world of Aquas, Commander Naya of the Mare people wept tears of joy. Her children would grow up free, swimming in oceans that belonged to them, not two distant tyrants. On the mining world of Rakem, Foreman granite threw his pickaxe into the air and cheered. His people would dig for their own benefit, not to feed the greed of their oppressors. On the plant world of Epsilon, Captain Root felt sunlight on his silver leaves and knew that his world's food would feed his own people first, with any extra shared freely with friends, not taken by force. The transmission continued as more human leaders spoke. Each one represented a different aspect of humanity's strength. Commander Sue spoke about the power of truth. We defeated you, not with lies or propaganda, but by showing the galaxy what you really are. Truth is more powerful than any weapon. Captain Tay spoke about the importance of courage. We were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but we never considered a surrender. Sometimes the right choice is also the hard choice. Pilot Yoon spoke about the value of ingenuity. You built bigger versions of the same old weapons. We've built completely new ways to fight. Innovation beats repetition every time. Scientist Era spoke about the strength of unity. Alone, each species was weak. Together, we became unstoppable. The galaxy is stronger when we work as one. Kanye Wu spoke about the importance of preparation. We spent 50 years getting ready for this day. When the moment came, we were ready. Good planning beat superior numbers. Each human spoke. Representatives from the allied species added their own voices. The transmission became a symphony of freedom. Dozens of different languages and species declaring their independence from council rule. Captain Bugel announced the practical details of the new alliance. Council military bases will be converted into hospitals and schools. Council weapons will be melted down and turned into tools for farming and building. Council prison ships will become transport vessels carrying families back to their home worlds. The transformation would not happen overnight, but it would happen. The infrastructure of oppression would become the foundation of freedom. Admiral Vex listened to the transmission with growing despair. Everything he had believed in was gone. The empire he had served was finished. The species he had considered inferior had proven themselves superior in every way that mattered, but the humans were not finished with their message. Admiral Kwan spoke directly to the remaining council forces. To the council ships still hiding in dark corners of space, we offer you a choice. Surrender now and help us build a better galaxy, or run forever and be remembered as the cowards who oppressed the innocent. To the council leaders who still think they can return to power, we say this. The galaxy has seen what freedom looks like. No one will ever accept your rule again. And to any species in the future who might think that conquest is easier than cooperation, remember what happened here. Remember that some prey fights back. Dr. Mingy delivered the final words of the transmission, words that would be remembered. For thousands of years, you came to Earth expecting to find weak humans who would submit to your will. Instead, you found something that terrified you. You found a species that refuses to accept defeat. You found a species that makes friends out of enemies. You found a species that never stops fighting for what is right. You shouldn't have messed with Earth, not because we are the strongest, but because we taught the galaxy that no one deserves to live in chains. The transmission ended, but its effects continued. Across the galaxy, former council worlds celebrated their freedom. Ships carrying liberated slaves headed home to families they had not seen in decades. On Earth, Admiral Kwan looked out at the fleet of Allied ships surrounding his planet. Each ship represented a species that had chosen freedom over fear, cooperation over domination. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had intended. The Council's empire of 1,000 years had ended. The age of freedom had begun. And it all started because one small blue planet refused to surrender.